What if the key to your confidence, the key to your connection to your emotions and your desires was simply in your breath? We're going to talk about the secret link between your breathing, between your breath and your sensuality. Let's jump right into today's episode. So, here's the first thing that we need to talk about. Sensuality breaks up and it unlocks your suppressed emotions and suppressed desires. All right? Now, not just religious programming, but also societal programming reminds you constantly that being, quote, emotional is unacceptable. All right? You're taught that you're programmed to believe that your emotions cannot be trusted, that your emotions are irresponsible, that your emotions are erratic, that your emotions are unstable. We hear a popular phrase that gets thrown around all the time, and you probably already know what this phrase is because it has become a conversational staple. Leave emotions out of it. Leave your emotions out of it. Think about that. Sensuality unlocks your suppressed desires, which is tied into your emotions. Why? Because your emotions are there, they are present to help you uncover what your desires are. Your emotions are guideposts to help you determine what you really want to see in your life. Sensuality has a negative connotation because when we hear the word sensuality, it almost has this dirty connotation on it because the first thing people think about is sex when you talk about sensuality. And that's even a problem right there because sex itself is not dirty. So I know you may have not heard sensuality talked like, spoke or talked about in this way, but this is why I'm bringing it up because it's so important for us to get back into appreciating who we are as sensual beings because it is essential to our sovereign identity because it ties back into our desires and our emotions. So let's keep going. So again, you have to realize that programming emphasizes to you that your desires don't matter, that what you want does not matter, and that what you desire does not matter. So for example, you will hear messages, in society that will say things like, well, so if a person, is giving what they desire in life, they're giving their vision for their life, and not even, it doesn't even have to be like this big vision, but just waking up one day and just saying, it would be cool if I could have this today. And then you hear someone say, well, you can't have everything you want in life. Where does that come from? And who said that? Who told you that you can't have everything in life? Here's a side note. A lot of times people will say that if they have attempted something, they've attempted to accomplish something or achieve something, and because it didn't happen or it hasn't happened, they decide to just settle for where they're at and they chalk their life up to, well, you can't have everything. That is that thinking, that consciousness is fruit of the programming tree. Okay? And you can elevate past that. So I reject that notion because what I know as a sovereign being is that what I say goes out into the ethers and it organizes what's in the external for me to bring me what I desire. That's what I know. So I reject that notion. And I invite you to do the same too. Okay, so let's get back into the episode. Now, we also see messages that say, well, you can't have everything. You have to choose what you want. So if you have this over here, then you have to sacrifice this over here. If you want this, then you have to let this go. There's this programmed idea that, which ties back into, you can't have everything that you want, because there's always this sacrifice. There's always a reminder that if you get this over here, that this next desire that you want, it just can't happen because you already have that one thing that you desire. As if one thing that you desire in your life is all you get. You see how that is a limitation? So, there's constant messaging about working and doing and completing things and being so focused on accomplishments without even giving importance to whether or not the things that you are doing are what you enjoy. Do you understand? So let me give you this example that popped into my mind. So, for example, Unleashed Alchemy. I have a vision for Unleashed Alchemy, okay? And it's big. And I love that it's big. I love that it goes beyond my natural mind. I am also I'm committed to that vision. I am also committed in embracing the fact that I don't have to embrace that vision by doing things that I don't enjoy. For example, I enjoy being on camera. I enjoy doing these videos. I enjoy talking to you through, whether you're watching me on YouTube or if you're listening to me on Spotify or Apple or any other podcasting platform. I enjoy speaking. I enjoy writing and creating the courses that I have. I enjoy creating my packages for coaching, for spiritual coaching, to help people see transformation in their lives. I enjoy that. That is all for Unleashed Alchemy. I do not subscribe to the fact, or to any idea, or to any story that would try to lead me to believe that I have to do a bunch of things that I don't enjoy doing so that this vision of Unleashed Alchemy can unfold. So that's an example, okay? So there is this idea, and again, this is not just a religious idea or religious programming, but it is societal programming, that you just make sure that you fill up your time with all of these things, being productive, and who cares whether or not you enjoy what you're doing, because that doesn't matter. That is an example of how you have been programmed to dismiss your desires and to dismiss your emotions. So let's go into the next point that I want to make here. Emotions aren't the problem. They are not. An emotion itself is not an issue. An emotion itself is not even something that has to be fixed. Let's get into it. It is the suppression of the emotion that causes the emotional spirals, because any suppressed emotion actually becomes a part of your identity. So earlier I mentioned the messages that we get about how to, don't put emotions into it, keep emotions out of it, don't be so emotional. Those messages are actually very contradictory, because when you are given the message to ignore your emotions, to get over your emotions, and that your emotions can't be trusted, you drowning out those emotions by trying to stay busy, by trying to look productive, those are the very things and the very actions that influence emotional clouding. Those are the very things that influence emotional outbursts, the irate behavior, and the outrageous emotional responses to situations that don't seem to match the situation at hand. So, what we are programmed to believe about our emotions, that is the very thing that causes us to be emotional. Do you get that? So, another point that I want to make here as I drive this home, your alchemy, your magic thrives on raw energy. So you want any blocked emotions, you want those emotions to come to the surface. But you have to be willing to feel them. When you feel your emotions, they are not becoming your identity. What you are doing is you're saying, okay, I recognize that as a spiritual being, I'm in this physical body. I feel this jealousy. I feel this rage. Those are emotions that you have to be willing to feel. Even the most uncomfortable, those are again our uncomfortable emotions. Because the raw energy of those emotions can be used to your benefit. Why? How? Because your emotions guide you to your truest and high expression. Because they guide you to your truest and highest desires. And here's the connection that you need to understand here. Your highest desires, your highest vision, those are tied to the infinite purposes that belong to you. Those are tied to your destiny. I still see so many people, I still hear so many people asking the question, how do I find my purpose? There is no such thing as a purpose. You have infinite purposes because your soul is infinite. How do I fulfill my destiny? How do I find it? You don't find it. You don't find purpose. You don't find destiny. The way for it to be activated within you is to pay attention to what you desire. There is a strong link there. They are integrated. I wanted to throw that out there. So, what do you do to break up suppressed emotions and suppressed desires? What do? You can do one thing. You can start with one thing. Pay attention to your breath. Pay attention to your breath. How are you breathing? Is it a deep breath or is it shallow? Are you holding your breath and not allowing the flow of your breath? You're not allowing the natural state of your breath. Your breath is designed to flow. It's not designed for you to hold it. Most of the time, I want to say this, most of the time, when you realize that you're holding your breath, that is a sign of resistance and stress. That is a sign that you're holding stress somewhere in your body. And you can pick up on it if you make that a practice to pay attention to how you are breathing. If you make it a practice to check in with your breath. If you make it a practice to gift yourself 30 seconds at a time throughout your day to be intentional about deep breathing. That is how you bring emotions and desires, suppressed emotions and desires to the surface. And understand this: when you bring them to the surface, you don't have to allow fear to cause you to run from them. Know that you already have it within you to know what to do with those suppressed emotions and those suppressed desires. You already have the guidance within you because you carry keys to address those emotions and to address those desires. See, another thing, I thought I was done here. I want to say this. This is going to be my last thing. You have been made to fear your desires. You've been made to fear. First of all, you've been made to fear your desires because if you're honest about a vision that you have, take a vision that you have right now in its purest form, not the watered down version. But for most of you listening, your vision is big. And if you're honest, you're thinking, how am I going to do this? I have this big vision. These are the things that I want in my life. This is how I want to live in my life. How, from where I'm at right now, from what I'm looking at right now, from what's in front of me, from what my reality is showing me, from what my external is showing me, how am I going to do this? If you allow fear to come in and cloud that vision, you will be afraid of your own desires. That vision is a part of what you desire. So a lot of you let fear suppress your desire because you have overanalyzed the how. You've overanalyzed the size of this vision, instead of you stopping and saying, wait a minute, I didn't just make this up. This is coming from my soul. So if this desire came up from my soul, then I must have keys to unlock the creation of that desire. I must have the guidance within me and the mysteries encoded in my DNA to unlock the creation of that desire. I must have it. I have this vision. So I must have. The guidance is already there. The know-how is already there. The support is already there. So that is how you unblock suppressed desires. Do not be afraid, even with the emotions. Remember, if you can view your emotions as a guidepost, if you can view your emotions as guidance, if you can view your emotions as you being guided in order, let me say it this way. Let me just keep it simple. Your emotions are your guideposts. They're guideposts. So never again will you say, well, I don't know what to do. Because now you know how you're feeling because you're no longer ignoring your emotions anymore. So you know exactly what to do. You always know what to do. So I'm going to end it there. All right. Let me know what your takeaways are from this episode. Okay. If you are watching on YouTube, leave me a comment. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple or any other podcasting platform, follow me, share this episode. All right. Give me your feedback. Give me a rating. Also go to unleashedalchemy.com to view the 2 ways that you can work with me one-on-one. I have a coaching package of 24 sessions. I also have now, for the next month, basically, I've opened up my schedule to where you can book a 155-minute session with me. All right. So for the 21st session package and the 55-minute session on my website, it shows how you can sign up for either one of those. All right. I also have single courses, individual courses that are very instrumental and can be tools that you can add to your spiritual bag. I have ebooks as well. Also, newly coming into unleashedalchemy.com are physical products, okay? Physical products that you'll be able to add to your spiritual bag. All right, be on the lookout for that. Go to unleashedalchemy.com, and until next time, be sovereign.